Hello, and in today's video we're just going to have a brief look at a very small brochure information pamphlet that was given to workers at Chrysler Australia back in the late 70s when Mitsubishi, the parent company, or they were starting to increase their stakehold in Chrysler, and of course they were starting to dictate a bit of what sort of cars Chrysler should be making in Australia, and what this being the Sigma. As you can see, I think this was the GE Sigma there. I quite like the look of those, but as I said, this was given to the mainly to the production workers of Chrysler at the time, to a bit of information on what they would be producing from now and into the future. And my father got this many years ago when he was up there, and of course some little boy, won't say who it was writing numbers on it. So oh geez, the things you do when you're a child, hey. But anyway, the rest of it is pretty unscathed, so without any further ado, we'll turn the page. So on the first page there, we've got the product, and goes into a bit of the background of the collaboration between Chrysler and Mitsubishi. And as I said, of course, at this time they were starting to, well, they were looking at smaller cars because of the fuel crisis business, and also Mitsubishi having a larger stake in Chrysler, were sort of starting to dictate and what sort of cars that Chrysler should be making. I suppose you do have that privilege when you're a major stakeholder in a company. You have a bit more say. And moving over to the next page, which is very uninteresting, but it has one black and white photo of the driver's cockpit of the new up-and-coming Sigma of the time. As you can see, just a standard AM radio. One interesting thing, I found that the heater and demister and whatever fan controls are about in the same position as what's in the 91 Magna. And, you know, I basically look at this and sort of think, it doesn't look that much different. I think Mitsubishi, even up until more recent times, they sort of kept the things in the same position. So, you know, like people, if you were swapping between any Mitsubishi product, you could go into it and you knew exactly where things were, indicators and whatever else, where most of the other manufacturers were playing around and shifting things about. So, you know, every model had something in a slightly different position, where Mitsubishi kept things pretty much in the same plane, as we'll say. So yeah, it's got quite a large analog clock, and like I said, everything in easy reading for the driver, and in easy reach too. And now that we've turned the page again, we've got a side view of the interior cabin, or not so spacious, but looking very luxurious, even though it's in black and white. But yeah, I have seen one or two of these, but not many of that sort of interior. But it looked very comfortable, and I think they were, for all intents and purposes, a very comfortable car, be it small, but very comfortable, I must say that. And then we move over to a message from the then managing director and chairman of Chrysler, your contribution. So then he goes on to say about what you could be expecting, and the valued contribution that Chrysler, and because Sigma is so important to our future. Well, little did he know that in a few years that that's all they'd be making, because the Valiant would be no longer. And then we move into a few facts and figures. So what you got between your Sigma ranges, so the GE Sigma Galant, GL and SEs, and the types of motors that they'd be putting in there, and what you'd be getting as an option with engines in each model range, shall we say. And then we move on to the transmissions, what the options were there: 4-speed, 5 speeds and 3-speed autos. Lots of options by the look of it. And then we move on to what would have been for the production line workers, all the start-up times, and how they were going to fill the line up and have a learning progress with this new Sigma car. Of course, these would have been coming down the line the same time as what the Valiants were, so would have been a bit of a culture shock, you know, working on a Valiant, and then the next thing a Sigma would have been popping up. So you would have had to have quite a bit of retraining, shall we say, and learning about where things went in this this car. So once the trim line is filled with the new model, from day 5 we are ready to start full production. And yeah, I being up there at well, many years ago now, I remember one of the model changes there, and there was a quite a steep learning curve, and they did it gradually, but of course, you know, being a car company, they were there to build cars, so, you know, eventually you'd get up to full speed. And then we move on to about what the 4G5 engines are. And of course, they were made at Lonsdale and eventually became known as the Astrons. So there was a 1855, a 1995 and a 1995 with automatic. And there's a bit of a photo of the motor itself. Of course, Japanese motor, but made in Australia. And I believe that they were developed from a Japanese diesel truck engine, which made for some interesting variations to get it running, because apparently at first they couldn't get the damn things to idle because they were very slow revving engine, especially when they got to 2.6s, which was one of the largest 4s. And then we move on to the method of launching the new model mix into the assembly line and how they'd be going to do this. So the Sigma vehicles would have been put on there, and it gives all the times and dates of when to expect in your area the Sigma coming down the line like that. And yeah, it's just interesting there. They said gradually until they final volume of 160 units per day is achieved. And of course, as I said, that would have been in conjunction with Valiant as well. So there would have been, as I said, a mixture of Valiant and Sigma coming down the line. And then on the last page, we have, now that you've read this brochure, which has been designed to give you and your family an understanding on what is about to happen at Chrysler Australia. So it was a fairly big deal, really, and they felt that they sort of had to put out a brochure and that there to let people know that, you know, they weren't closing, and they were going to be producing this Sigma car. But of course, in a few years' time, Chrysler was gone, and of course Mitsubishi took over, and they just made Sigmas after that, and then eventually Magna, and then of course the last one being the 380, which was the final car or roll of the dice for Mitsubishi in Australia. So yeah, that's the bit of history. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this, what did you say, information brochure to the workers of Chrysler back in the 70s about the new up-and-coming Sigma that they were going to be producing. And it's quite a bit of interesting history, really. And for people that know me, I quite like looking into the history of cars and things like that. So this brochure is very, even though it's very, very small, and that it just gives a bit of a snapshot of what Chrysler and Mitsubishi were doing at the time in Australia. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please leave a like, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Cheers for now.